Welcome, champions, to the next overview and tier list ranking on any new or reworked champion for the current event active for idle champions. This is where we'll break down their mechanics and place them in my overall tier list for every champion in the game. And you know what, we gotta visit real quick, a little bit of my cat while I plug my Twitch. We go over whatever champion I talk about in these videos the same day I post it, so drop in and say hi. We get into all kind of shenanigans over there. Since we just covered Calyx, that means we're on to the reworked champion of this event. So let's talk about Ishi in Seed 4, the chaotic good, kobold, fighter/rogue, serving the group as a DPS and gold find. And with this rework, they definitely leaned into the DPS side of things. Her basic attack, Quick Strike, makes her attack the frontmost enemy, and her ultimate gives her a confidence boost. For 30 seconds, Ishi's damage is increased by 100% for each non-human in the formation, and it does stack multiplicatively. The duration will extend when Ishi lands a killing blow on a boss. So what does she get to jump up her DPS numbers? Because before she really wasn't that usable as a DPS, let's be honest. To start, she has a passive, Me First. Ishi always attacks 0.25 seconds faster than the fastest member in the formation, or every 6 seconds if nobody else is in the formation. Then onto her formation abilities, she has Monsters Are People Too, where Ishi's damage is increased by 100% for each non-human in the formation, stacking multiplicatively. And the equipment for it does scale the pre-stack. Then she's also got
Let's Find Some Treasure,
where Ishi increases the party's gold find by 100% for each non-human champion, stacking multiplicatively. She will further increase her Let's Find Some Treasure with
Treasure Hunter,
where Ishi increases the effect of Let's Find Some Treasure by 100% for every 4 seconds it has been since Ishi attacked but did not kill an enemy, stacking multiplicatively up to 15 times. At this point, it's getting kind of annoying how much we're seeing changes to Seed 4 and all of its gold find champions. But Treasure Hunter combined with Let's Find Some Treasure can stack up to be a pretty good gold find, but it doesn't contend with Eric. Then she also has
Faster, Harder, Stronger,
where Ishi keeps track of the number of attacks she has made in the last minute. She increases her damage by 100% for each attack, stacking multiplicatively. And to wrap it all up, she's got
Winner Take All,
where every day Ishi gains 5 Duel to the Death stacks. When Ishi has an available Duel to the Death stack and gets a killing blow on a boss that drops a loot sack, there is a 5% chance that she will consume that stack and claim a piece of that boss's equipment as her own, granting her 6 item levels to a piece of her own equipment at random. Ishi can store up to 50 Duel to the Death stacks at once, so you want to jump on those stacks so you don't lose out from that cap. This is the first time we're seeing a mechanic like this, where you can gain item levels passively through the actual game without investing in her. Time invested versus your gem farm. Her specializations are just an option of a way to further increase her damage, not actually tied to any of her formation abilities, rather another buff, but this one is actually pre-stack. First she has
Friend to the Familiar,
where Ishi's damage is increased by 125% for each ASMR, Dwarf, Elf, Gnome, Halfling, and Half-Elf champion in the formation, stacking multiplicatively. The second choice is
Friend to the Feared,
where Ishi's damage is increased by 150% for each Dragonborn, Goliath, Orc, Tiefling, and Half-Orc champion in the formation, of course, stacking multiplicatively. And lastly,
Friend to the Exceptional,
where Ishi's damage is increased by 100% for each champion in the formation that is not a standard species, stacking multiplicatively. Standard species are ASMR, Dragonborn, Dwarf, Elf, Gnome, Goliath, Halfling Human, Orc, Tiefling, Half-Orc, and Half-Elf. If you remember from Calyx's video, he actually will synergize quite well with her because of this. Her equipment is overall pretty good. She does have a self-DPS buff, Faster, Harder, Stronger buff, which is the one where she tracked the number of hits made in the last minute. Monsters Are People Too, which is the multiplicative pre-stack scaling, non-human formation buff, Let's find some treasure, which of course was her gold find, and then buffs to her specializations, which is also pre-stack scaling, and lastly, ultimate cooldown. Her feats are overall pretty good. Keep your eyes out for Monsters Are People too, and her specializations, as those are both of her pre-stacks. Her new intelligence feat, which makes her available for Strahd, and then what you'd expect with the gold, the damage boosts, and her other formation abilities. And talking about that intelligence feat, that actually makes Ishi available for everything, so her availability is quite good. All of the patrons, and now of course Elminster for 3 years because she was reworked, and all of the day 1 trials. Her achievement has changed, but it's very simple to complete. All it is having Ishi be your top damage dealer in a formation containing at least 7 other non-humans. It doesn't require any form of progression as long as she's the top damage dealer slotted with the correct champions. Very simple. Her variants are also equally as simple. The first will take up 2 slots in your formation with a magical curse. The curse moves to adjacent slots every 15 seconds, and champions who are affected by it have their attacks disabled. So you might have to swap around every now and then. The second will have powerful orc fighters spawn with each wave, and they will not drop gold or count for quest progression. And the third variant just requires you to use non-human champions. This isn't quite as restrictive as Calyx's was before, as he was restricted to non-standard. This is simply not humans. And in all of these, it doesn't even require you to slot Ishi. Overall, I don't think anyone's going to have trouble with these ones. So, we're looking at a champion I previously had in the F tier, a damage dealer and a gold find that didn't excel in either regard. When it comes to being a DPS in this game, you better be able to put up at least some numbers. Well, her numbers have been drastically changed, and she does have 2 pre-stack scalings. But that being said, her pre-stacks don't quite scale in a way that's on par with a lot of other ones. Cass and even Rosie still have better pre-stack scalings than her. For example, in this scenario, we have Ishi reaching a grand total of self-buffing of E41. But if we swap to Rosie, who is a lower item level for me, Ishi's 5k versus Rosie's at about 1.5k, Rosie is actually giving herself an E55. So at a lower item level by quite a bit, Rosie is beating out Ishi, and they both have restrictive formations. And her gold find, while decent, is also outperformed by Eric in her own seat. But pre-stacks are pre-stacks. If you like Ishi, she can serve as a great DPS. But we're not looking at a game-breaking new DPS to the roster. Overall, I personally value her around Krond and Warduke, but ahead of them because of her better availability. So she's hopping in that lower A tier. Thanks for dropping in and sticking around. Let me know what you think about Ishi's rework in the comments below, and hit that like, sub, and bell for me. And if you want, join the Tyredack community Discord to keep up to date on all things Tyredack. You can find a link to that in the description, as well as my Twitch. But even if you don't do any of that, have a hell of a time out there, champion.